Welcome back to episode 157 of the RUDIS Wrestling Podcast. I'm joined in studio for part 3 of our 4-part series with 4-time national champ Logan Stieber. And today we're going to be jumping into your junior season, the 2013-2014 season. So thanks for jumping in, Logan. Hope things are going well with you.
Yeah, things are good. Life's good. I I enjoy these. You know, I don't always like to talk about past successes or whatever, but it's kind of fun to go back and think about the stories and the good times and the bad times, like the weight cutting last week. And so it's fun. It's good.
And I think as we're building this out and getting in, like it's easy to transition for, our viewers that tuned in last week and listened to is really talking about, not only did we highlight your second national championship, but also the weight struggles and understand this is probably my last year at 33 and the period of adjustment, getting a nutritionist to come in and work with you. And so setting up the season, like, how did that go down? Because obviously there had to be some conversations because with Hunter.
Yeah.
And how did the lineup talks kind of shake out? Or when did it actually happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of saw the future. So, Coach Ryan and Lou and Jay and Ross, they saw that, 2015, 2016, we had an opportunity to be a really good team. Even with me graduating with Bo and Nate. And I guess I don't really know where they were at in their commitments. But we had a good, my roommate, Ian Paddock, was good 149. So the plan was, of course, Hunter redshirt, Ian go 149. And I think that was his senior year. And then give Hunter 2 full years to be a big and strong 149 pounder. Obviously, he got hurt, which, derailed a lot of things there. But, that was kind of the thought process, going forward, and me moving up because, 133 wasn't an option anymore. My dad wanted me to, I think, keep going 33. But it was going to be a tough one. So I did not want that.
And before we jump into the season, I wanted to talk to the audience again. This is a live episode on YouTube. If you have any thoughts, questions, or whatever to, ask Logan anything specifically about the 2013-2014 season, any basic wrestling training questions, please feel to text those our way. But so getting into it, was it an easy transition for 41?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I mean, I wrestled with a lot of bigger guys in the room. I wrestled with Jay and I guess Reese wasn't that much bigger, but and I wrestled with Demas a lot and Paddock and my brother. So I wrestled with a lot of good, strong, bigger guys. And I guess the season kind of started out kind of normal for me. So I felt confident there. I actually wrestled in the All-Star match. So we it was technically a 149 pound match, but they made me weigh in, kind of planning for the wrestle the next week. So I had to make, I think, 143 or 142.8.
Let's get into that. Like, how did those conversations go down? Because that drove me crazy because I was still in coaching at the time. And I'm like, this is awesome for wrestling. You got a kind of a super match going on between you and Maple. But then I hear word coming out like, no, they're going to make Logan make it. Like, he won't make scratch, but he's got to be within the 1.5% to make it the next week. So what was it, like 42.5, 43, something like that. Yeah. But I'm like, wait, it's an exhibition match. Yeah. It doesn't really count, even though it does, quote unquote. It does carry weight. But in this reference, I'm like, no, it's a 41 versus a 49. Why don't you just let them weigh what they weigh?
Yeah, I don't know all the rules and stuff, but I just think that they, with the production in the program, I just think that they could do it in a way where it's a complete exhibition, like it's supposed to be exhibition, where you weigh in the night before or whatever, plus a couple pounds, and you have a dinner banquet, and you could do it up. It could be something that's cool, and usually, with more weight advantage, usually you get better matches. But yeah, so I mean, they just said, do you want to do it? And I said, yeah. And I think Ramos wanted to wrestle me again. I remember he tweeted at me. But I, in my mind, it was like, how many times do I have to wrestle this guy? I was like, this doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, it's great for him, smart, and he's keep trying to wrestle me.
Well, he's gonna have plenty of motivation.
Yeah, but for me, I'm like, that's a fun match, but I'm like, that doesn't do anything for me. So. They mentioned Maple and said, yeah, cool. I mean, he wasn't a big 49 anyways. So I thought that would be a fun match and help, just give me a good match to kind of get my year going. So, yeah, they said I had to make like 42.8. So that it really wasn't a big deal because I kind of weighed probably beginning of the year, probably September 155, kind of my normal weight. But by the time season was going, probably 149. So it wasn't an issue. It just was making weight a week earlier, which kind of stunk because as a wrestler, if you're going to make it 15 times, you'd rather not make it 16 times.
Yeah.
So
what was the genesis? Did the NWCA bring the idea to you guys, or did someone bring the outside of the NWCA bring it to you?
I forget who brought it to us. I think they did. I think they talked about it and they brought it up. I think maybe they were talking with Tom about it. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But I thought let's do it. Might as well. And I don't know. For me, I felt like I didn't really have nothing to lose. I mean, probably none of us had. I mean, I probably had more to lose than Kendrick, probably because I had a 2-timer, but he was 1. So I thought, let's just do it. And if I lose, I lose. I don't care. It's just supposed to be.
Yeah, it seems to me like when it comes to competition, it's not like you overanalyze. It's like, hey, I'll wrestle anybody. Like, if I feel like, So
it was cool, and it was fun. I mean, it was cool because I had it was one of my best friends, Nick Salzer, went to UVA, so he was wrestling in it too. So that was we got to room together and stuff, and that was fun. So we hung out. I think you wrestled. We roomed together one year. I don't know. I think it might have been that year, but yeah, it was fun. Good event, and it was a good match. I think we're both tentative. We both probably should have did more. And it ended up being, I think I got him first, and then he took me down. Somehow it was tied, and then we went into overtime, nothing on our feet, and then the tiebreakers, I reversed them, got to a cradle out of bounds, and then I wrote him out. So it was a good match, but it wasn't like when we wrestled in freestyle, we both opened up a lot more and more points were scored. So I think we probably both were a little bit gun shy, but it was fun. I mean, it was cool. It was the last match, and it was. I remember after the match, his name's Stieber Poulin. He's a high school stud now. He's a beast. But at the time, he was real young. Internet sensation. Yeah. So right after the match, he was like right at the mat and dapped me up, and kind of all the kids were around. So it was cool. That's sometimes not always the best setup, but it was cool at the time. So yeah, it was a cool experience for sure.
So we've got our first question of the day, and this actually ties into my follow-up. My question was going to be, moving up to 41, was there a level of excitement that you had a new field to compete against?
Yeah.
Like it seems like you've seen so many of those guys down at 33. Like, was it like almost exciting, like a shot in the arm? Like, oh man, I got brand new competition out here.
Yeah, it was exciting. For me, I was like, I wrestled Ramos a lot. I wrestled Shop. I'd been in the bracket with Groff and not wrestling in folk style, and I kind of faded one Dardanes, but got the other Dardanes, so that was kind of the same. But yeah, it was exciting. It was cool for me. The weight was nice. I felt good. I didn't have to hurt myself to get down. And then I get to get a new feel. These guys could get I could work my stuff on top, and that was kind of the test. Again, it's probably most people think of me as a top guy, which is fine, but I always thought that my feet, I could take down anybody in the world. So I was always very confident in that. And I knew that if I could ride or turn them, then I would definitely win. I'd definitely, be very successful. So, once my first, I remember trying to ride Mabel, and he was sweaty and he was quick, and he got away, and I was like, that stinks. I thought I could turn him. But that's just kind of not arrogance, but the confidence. And,
right.
I always think I could turn anybody. So, but then once the season got going, it was, things were about the same.
Okay. All right. So we have our first question of the day, and this is actually a first. We're going international here. We've got Jarno from Finland wants to know how it feels to be a coach, and wants to know if you ever miss competing.
It feels great to be a coach. I do not miss competing. I enjoy coaching our guys. So I think my wife wants me to compete still, but I'm not. It's not happening. I did like a little Facebook kind of workout the other day, and put the guys doing push-ups and stance in motion and stuff. And my arms and my pec was sore, and my neck was sore from being in my stance. And I was like, that was with nobody. not wrestling anybody. So I'm good. I do not miss competing. The big stages are fun, but if anything, I miss college. I mean, international is fun, but sometimes you're at the MedVed tournament wrestling the best guys in the world, and there's 20 people in the stands, small high school gym, So, the college events where there's dual meets and stuff, those are the fun ones. But I get to be in the stands and cheering, and I'm extremely close with the guys. So it's it's fun. I very much enjoy not competing anymore.
Yeah, good. I was actually thinking, I was listening to, I forget, a show or a podcast somewhere. They were talking about the influence of the crowd, especially on professional athletes. And one of those things that people don't factor in is like, yeah, you get motivated when you have people behind you. That's just an obvious instinct.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot of these professional athletes, they're like, they don't really understand. Like a lot of times, like we're on the road for several days or a week at a time. We're flying all over the country. We fly back into our home base. We got to turn around within 8 hours, play a home game. It's like, it's hard to get, you're a professional. You get up because you have to, but they're like, you can't place a value on that crowd pushing you and lifting you up. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the crowd, everyone's seen it since the beginning of time, with any sort of stadium or crowd, there's always a home field advantage, good question.
We do have another follow-up, and I don't know if this fits in right now. This is from Nick from Instagram, and it'd be interesting your take, because I've got two different levels, an extension to Nick's question. He wants to know who your toughest opponent ever was, and I think some people may think it comes from the season, right?
Yeah. So I get that question a lot, at camps and stuff. And I guess, the answer is a little bit, it can be different. So, some of the best guys I've wrestled, like the what I think are the best wrestlers, are not always the toughest matches. So, when I think of some of the better guys I've wrestled, I think of Oliver. I think of Zane. So Zane might be the toughest because he kind of fit both categories. But we're wrestling with like Jordan. It was something where it was at the end of the match, I wasn't tired. It was cat and mouse type of strategic match and extremely tough. Right, he's extremely technical. But in my mind, it was like, okay, it's just I lost or I won. Wrestling with someone like Zane or Dardanes or Rutherford, those or Ramos, those were the ones where I'm like, man, those matches kind of tough. Those ones get you tired. Make you really, really train and work for them. So,
because they stress your mind in different ways, right? Those physical. When I think about Zane and Dardanes and those guys, like that's a physical, high-paced, high energy, just a lot of exertion.
Yeah.
Where like Jordan is more like a chess match. I'm thinking in the match. I'm preparing and I'm seeing where he's going, and it kind of exhausts you in different ways.
Right. Yeah. So I guess the toughest, it's always a different answer. I think some of these guys I've wrestled, especially international. I've wrestled some incredible guys with Romanov and Aliyev and Knichishvili and Italy guy. It's the most popular guy on Instagram. Chamizo, yeah. I wrestled some awesome guys. I've been, the guy from Russia, Bekbulatov, now he's Uzbekistan. He might be the best guy I've ever wrestled. So I wrestled some really cool guys. So, but Dardanes is the one I always didn't want to wrestle. You gave me a list of people I get to choose, so I didn't want to wrestle. I would always not wrestle Dardanes.
So you had the luxury of like wrestling both of them.
Oh my gosh, right? I wrestled them.
Was it
probably 10 times between their brothers?
How similar of a match was it between the two, or where were some separating points between the two that you could all right, they're kind of at the same mold, but one does this more, the other one does that more?
Same person.
Same.
Nick was bigger. Nick had a little bit bigger chest. So, but yeah, this year, we'll talk about it. I actually wrestled probably my best against them. I wrestled Nick, I believe, twice, and I think I measured him both times. I was able to turn him. I was never able to turn him in the other matches, which made it tough, of course, right? Because those guys could handle a hand fight and bang real hard on our feet. So I got some turns this year. at 141 with them, which made my matches the easiest out of all the matches we wrestled.
Now, with a lot of these, you have so many series that we could actually dig into and look back on. But I forget how the quote goes. But it's like once you could, the first 2 times you wrestle a guy is really, really tough. But if you can beat him that 3rd time, it seems like you own him forever. There's just like a mental breakthrough or a flip goes on in your head. Was that something like that with the Dardanes, that after you beat him a number of times, like, yeah, this is never going to change?
Yeah, I mean, I felt as if, I knew it was coming more. My senior year, and we'll be able to talk about this next week, I was in an absolute heater with Nick at the last home duel meet. I was smoking him, and I fell off, like the most you could ever fall off the cliff. And he was ringing up points so fast, it was like, kicked me. I think the scorekeeper couldn't keep up. It's like kicked me with like 12 seconds left, and I think, but the time was messed up, and maybe I would have been able to pull it together in overtime. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I was tired. I was out on my feet, type of situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I was, because I was wrestling well, and I wrestled with Mitchell Port the next week and won, and were able to hold up. So weird match. But yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, I felt better. I guess there was that one kind of deviant where I almost lost, but yeah, after the first couple of times, I had a better idea of how the match could go.
And I guess that opens up a good transition into talking about the duel at Penn State.
Yeah.
Because that happened at the first half of the season?
Yeah, it happened in December. Yeah. Right. So we wrestled Penn State, and I knew going in that Zane was good. I mean, he was a true freshman. He'd won the Cadet Worlds. So I knew he was good. I definitely didn't overlook him, but I just thought that I would be able to take him down and armbar him. He just hadn't felt it yet, so I knew that.
And did you think that was an advantage? Like, if you've never felt it, you may have scouted it and seen it on tape, but the first time you feel it,
yeah,
you ain't getting away from it.
Yeah, I thought it'd be an advantage. I thought I would be able to. I just thought that I would take him down, I throw the boot in, scoop it, and then armbar half roll.
Which you did.
Yeah, so I did. I rolled him through. He rolled all the way through, and then I got it again. I locked it up, and ref stopped for potentially dangerous.
It's kind of one of these type things, like shallow armbar.
Yeah, so probably was. I'd have to look back at it. The funny thing is, and you see it a lot with if you watch Spencer Lee now, it is the better you get, especially like on top, the more they give you. So I was probably playing with a little bit of house money there, expecting it to keep going. And they stopped it.
Like, this is my position.
Yeah,
I dominate here.
So yeah, so I definitely got some close ones. They let it go, and just like Spencer, you watch Spencer, you're like, oh, it's scary, and then it's like they let it go. And if somebody else gets it, I mean, shoot, a couple years ago, Penn State, they stopped. I think Micah. They stopped. I think they Zane bow and arrowed our guy, maybe Keyshawn, a bunch of times. And then Micah got a bow and arrow, and it was like, oh, Penn's so dangerous. So it.
Wait, you think there's just so that there's some bias maybe that goes on? I've never heard of it at different Big Ten arenas. I've never seen it or witnessed it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it goes, right? So yeah, it was so they stopped it for potentially dangerous. I think I had around like 55-ish seconds of riding time, and again, I just like we were talking, by the time nationals and Big Tens comes around, I'm usually 100% locked in, and I know exactly how the match is going to go. I have my plan, and I know my goals. And maybe this match I was 98% locked in, what I thought. So I kicked him, or he got away somehow, and I just thought, okay, I'll just take him down again. Get my riding time, whatever. Can always get my riding time, no big deal. Well, of course, I didn't get my riding time, so I think. I had about 57 seconds, 2-1 going in the second period. I went down. Yeah, I went down, which I knew he was good on top, but it was always the plan to go down because just to feel. Because maybe I get away in 10 seconds, maybe not.
And I always think, like, for me, against the guy that you kind of anticipate you're going to have to wrestle multiple times, like, we got to figure this out at some time. You might as well figure it out the first time around. It's like, as much as you want to win the match, like, no, we need to figure out this position.
And it wasn't, it was knowing that it wasn't the end. So if my first time was in NCAA semis or finals, listen, I think if I saw what he did all year, I'd go on my feet. because it wouldn't make sense. You in a match, that big, you take where you're going to win. But I thought, okay, what? And I thought I'd get away. So I remember I was getting, ridden out on my shoulder, power half in me. And I was okay on bottom, but I could have been better there. But I was pretty tough. So, he had the power half and he was ripping it over. My probably shoulder was on the other side. And I just was thinking, okay, I'm not going to get turned. But my head was down and the crowd was going crazy. So he stalling on me. No, not stalling yet. So finally I tried to stand up. It's 2-1. Yeah, it's 2-2. So I stand up, and they call it for stall. They potentially dangerous. And I'm like, okay. And the ref, I remember this vividly. The ref said, if you stand up again with the boot in, I'm going to hit you for stalling.
Because at that time, the interpretation, the responsibility was on the bottom man to show that he was trying to get away.
Yeah.
Now in today's rules, like if you stand up, it's the top guy.
Yeah.
He has to show he's trying to return you to the mat.
Yeah. So I was like, in my mind, right? So a clear thinking mind, there's okay, let's figure out another way to get out. In my mind, where I was feeling it from the tiredness of the match, the crowd, and you start, kind of losing your normal train of thought. So in my mind, he says that, and I was like, I don't really know another way to get out. I don't understand how to get out besides stand up. So again, I'm getting ridden out. I stand up again. I think they call me for stalling. And the crowd just goes crazy. And I almost get up with 10, 15 seconds left, and he breaks me back down. Crowd goes crazy. So it's 2-1. And now he has a 1:03 riding time. So he doesn't go down. And so he goes on his feet. And I was pretty juiced. I was that second period took it out of me. So I really should have tried hard and got the takedown and end the match. And I think that I took too long to try to recuperate myself, and it didn't happen.
So was it a compounded effect? Because you've referenced the crowd.
Yeah.
And that place is insane.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of it to see what it does to people.
Yeah.
But being on the other side, I've actually been on the other side, and that's not fun either. But
yeah.
But how much was it feeling him taking that out of you physically with his ride, but also emotionally? That crowd is that place you can't hear.
Yeah. So I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear anything the coach was trying to tell me to do, and it's just a mixture. If it was just a crowd, maybe it affects me a little bit, but my moves weren't working. The crowd, I was getting tired. It was kind of a mixture of everything, and it was took a lot out of me. I don't know if I got in on the third period. I haven't watched the match too many times. I usually like to watch the ones that I win. So I don't know if I got to the leg at all. But he overtime I shot in, and he's really good at dragging to a single leg. He got to my leg and took me down. The crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
And again, with most of my losses, in college freestyle, I'm not really, the coaches aren't, they don't really get too mad. If I had a bad weight cut, they'll tell me something, but I just walked off the mat and sat behind one of the bleachers, in the kind of side area, and just was like, that stinks. And I was like, man, I thought I was going to kill everybody and, undefeated, win the Hodge, all that stuff. But then I was like, well, I know that I can fix it. I knew that I didn't get killed. I didn't get, it was very fixable, and I knew that I had to be better prepared. So we got smoked. And then I remember walking out, and Coach Lou was like, remember this feeling. Remember how you feel right now, because you're going to have them again. And it was good advice. And I trained like a madman with Lou and Jay, rest of the year.
And I think, we were talking off air about this. I think these were the days. I think that's where the rivalry between Penn State and Ohio State really started escalating.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always, you want to beat everybody in the Big Ten. Everybody's a rival in some way, shape, or form in the Big Ten. But really, I think for Penn State, on the Penn State side of things, since they were addition into the conference, they never had a true rival.
Yeah.
And I really in wrestling, from the wrestling sense, it seems like in some way, shape, or form, the wrestling rivalry between Ohio State and Penn State is almost higher than Ohio State, Michigan.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I think that everybody on our side would like to beat them, and I think they would like to beat us the most,
which is really cool.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, cool. It makes it fun. You know, it makes it hurt more, and when you win, it makes it feel better.
Yeah.
So it's a great rivalry, and so it was good. It was good, and I guess we can kind of continue on the season.
Yeah. So, what adjustments from that match did you make?
Yeah. So we had a sat down with Lou and Jay, and it was like, okay, I need to run more and get my conditioning up, but. Besides all that, Zane had a lot of skills, so it wasn't like, okay, just get in better shape and you'll win. I had to really troubleshoot some stuff. So we spent a lot of time on me getting away, and a lot of time on ending the period on top when I took first period. So by the time we wrestled, and again, I don't know if I had any other matches besides Zane that I didn't major or bonus point basically. So by the time we got to Big Ten, I spent a lot of time on bottom and getting some work in. And I remember even Lance Palmer was back in town training for fight or something, and he came in and he worked some leg in and some boot stuff on me. So I was well prepared to go down and get away if I needed to. But the plan was to score 2 takedowns in the first period and on top. I thought, okay, I'm up 4-1, end of 1 with a minute, 15 riding time. Then I'm in good shape. It wouldn't make sense for me to go down. If he goes down, I'll build up more riding time, and I knew that my shape would be great. So I did, that'd be fine.
Yeah. So I want to go back into the season, and this was a dominant, like you said, a dominant season. Mm-hmm. All bonus points wins, through the regular season. Outside of that early season duel, but did you start game planning across the board for everybody more than you had so in the past, or was it just specifically for a couple guys?
I mean, it was specifically for Zane, because I knew that Mitchell Port was undefeated, and so I knew he was going to be good. I'd wrestled, I think, Nick Dardanes at national duels, and I turned him. So I think I beat him 10-1 or 10-2, something like that. So I knew that my game planning was to get away, and everything else, scoring 2 takedowns, ending the period on top, riding hard, that would be fine for game planning for everybody else. So I didn't have to, I wasn't needing to. Really specifically game plan for other people, and I know with Zane, it was, we worked a lot on bars to guard takedowns, because he sprawled really hard, and I would have a little piece of him. So either it was good attacks, so I don't get reattacked, and when I get in, bars to guard. So, we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time trying to finish on Jay, and give me a good feel, and then having everybody get on top of me and throw the leg in.
Yeah. Okay, so we get another question here from Henry, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about, but this is more specifically like probably what you had done before the season. And Henry wants to know about off-season training and your preparation for the season. How many days a week did you work out, get on the mat, and wrestle live?
In the off-season,
yeah.
So I trained always for the Olympic styles, for freestyle and stuff. So I trained pretty hard through basically June 1, trying to make the senior world team. And then from June and July was, June, July, even August, I would train probably 3 times a week wrestling, lift a couple times a week, and run on my own a couple times a week. And then I would do wrestling camps all summer as well. So, if we had a camp here at Ohio State, and maybe Reese or Bunch or somebody, a Bunch was there, but we had somebody trying to make a world team or made the world team, then maybe I would wrestle a little bit more with them, or I'd go to training camp and wrestle for 2 weeks, and then come back home, take a little bit off and lift and stuff. So, but probably consistent, probably 3 times a week wrestle, lift twice a week, and then go run, whether it's sprints or long distance a couple times a week.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So jumping back into the season, and it was dominant. Arguably in my mind, this year was maybe your most dominant season in some ways. But were there anything else during the regular season, and maybe specifically in the Big Ten season that you remember, or you just kind of blasted everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a good job. I was scoring a lot, and it's crazy. 2014 is kind of blank for me during the year. I'm trying to think if I had any big matches. We had the national duels. Actually, we had national duels at Ohio State 2014, and I wrestled some really good guys. And I think I'd wrestled 3 guys in the top 10, and 2 of them were maybe in top 5. So one kid was from Hofstra. His name was Luke Vaith.
Yep.
And I don't know if he ever All-American. I think he was around a 12.
Big Jack dude.
Yeah. And so I had him, right away, first round at national duels. I think he was ranked, I think he just had a big win.
Mm-hmm.
He was ranked like 4th or 5th. And I think I tagged him. So I was like, okay, this is good. And then I wrestled Dardanes. So I wrestled him, and then I wrestled, I think, Tyler Small from Penn State, who was always someone who was pretty good. And actually, I did. That's the only other guy. Tyler Small, I don't think I majored. I beat him by like 6 or 7 right after Zane in December. But then going back forward, so I wrestled him again at national duels. I think I majored him. I scored a lot of points. It was like a 16-6 major where you're feeling good, And then the next day I had, I think, Dardanes first round, turned him, majored him, and then in the third, we were in the 3rd and 4th place match as a team. I wrestled Nick Lester, I think, from Oklahoma. Yeah, so he was All-American. He was good. I wrestled him in Vegas that year, and I pinned him fast, but I knew he was good. So I was like, okay, I got to be prepared. And I wrestled really well, scored a bunch of points, tilts and turns, and ended up tech falling him kind of with riding time at the end. But yeah, it was a good year. I mean, I felt really good at 141. I thought, I was in great shape.
So looking back, and you said it was kind of like a blur. What factored into that? One, obviously dominating. When you're dominating, you don't really remember those wins. When they come, not when they come easy, but when you're dominating to the level you're dominating, there's one component of that. But also at that point, had somewhat some of the emotion worn off. Like, I know exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
I know how to turn the switch on and off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth,
but
it just seems like you had mastered things. You had figured out like where your mind and body needs to be. And was it simply as like, okay, I need to flip that switch, zone in, I get out, and then I move on.
Yeah. So it was more like almost like a business or like transactional. Like, this is what I need to do. Go out and get it done. And it was actually, I just remembered a kind of a funny story, but beginning of the year. So first dual meet. And it's fun to be live. We can jump around,
Yeah.
But beginning of the year, we had Notre Dame College, so NAIA Division II. I don't know what they were at the time. First dual meet of the year. And I remember before the year started, we talked about last week that Ramos was the only guy who took me down. So again, I thought I was gonna kill everybody all year, and I was like, I'm not gonna give up any takedowns either. So obviously that didn't happen. But my first match, we had Notre Dame, and the guy was pretty good, who I was supposed to have, but he didn't wrestle. He didn't weigh in or whatever, so I had to back up. So I was wrestling him. I took him down a couple of times, and then he shot in. I tried to leg slip him, and he caught both my ankles, and I kind of just timbered over, and he took me down. And then he's a tough kid, but I thought that I wouldn't give up a takedown, all year, and especially not two, just a guy I didn't know, who was obviously pretty good. So that was kind of a funny start to my year, where it's you try to be perfect, and now it's who cares? So I give up takedowns.
And really, this is the first time in our previous 2 episodes, we really had there was talk about your approach. You wanted to dominate, but it seems like there were some things in your mind, like the way you wanted to dominate. In the previous episode, you hadn't really talked about the Hodge before, or how you wanted to dominate. But now, in some ways, when when you got beat, you got taken down, did it kind of free you up?
Yeah, it definitely freed me up because I just was like, in my mind, I was just thinking I'm a lot better than I'm showing right now. Zane was really good, but he still is incredible, of course. But in my mind, I was like, what am I doing here? I gotta score takedowns. I'm getting tired. This is almost embarrassing. And I was like, I can't get tired. I'm not gonna get tired. And then it's like I got tired in the past, and I avenged that loss. So I was very confident that I would be able to do it again, even knowing how good Zane was and how he's gonna be, of course. So yeah, it was something where, 33, my second year, I just always knew that Tony Ramos was always gonna be a thorn in my side. I just knew it was gonna be a tough match. I've been through it enough my whole growing up. So I just knew that he would always be someone who's very tough to dominate. But at the beginning of 41, I didn't know. I didn't know Zane. I just thought that I was gonna crush everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. In first weekend of March, heading into your third Big Ten championships. I can't remember looking back. I should have done this, but what was the seeds at that point? Was Zane the one?
Zane was the one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just rewind it like 3 days earlier. So I think on Wednesday at Big Tens, we wrestle Saturday, Sunday. Wednesday, I'm wrestling Hunter. And I shoot in lefty, and I jam my thumb on his thigh, and I was hurting.
Top down.
Yeah, I don't even know how I did it, but so I it was hurting bad. I couldn't really grab with it too much. I'm like, that sucks. So I get X-rays. It was like broken thumb. Not like needed surgery, but needed whatever, a month or so, 6 weeks to heal, which I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's just tape it up. And so our trainer, like I was telling you earlier, he's a good trainer. Every time he taped me up, I told him, I said, hey, this is the one. This is the one that's going to do it. And we had 8 matches or whatever from Big Tens and Nationals. But so that was kind of, I was a little bit, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my dad. And so I'm a lefty, so I shoot everything left.
Yeah. I was just trying to think. I saw you going left, and I was thinking, did you armbar left too? Shoot left?
Armbar left, yeah. No, except for I armbar left unless I had the leg in, then I armbarred right.
But I guess with your broken finger, an armbar guy, would have been concerning if you were a cross wrist guy?
Maybe. I mean, I had it taped up a lot, so it was like if you watch the matches, there's like some clips of the highlights.
So you had a club, was it?
Yeah, it was just taped up. It wasn't like a cast, it was just taped up. Okay. But the coach was like, "Listen, your adrenaline's gonna be rolling. Like, you don't need surgery. It's just a crack, whatever." So I'm
it's just a broken thumb,
right?
No, it's just a broken thumb. No big deal.
So I didn't tell because my dad is he gets real stressed, still gets stressed, but a little bit less stressed, and a little bit pessimistic sometimes. So I didn't even want to tell him. I was like, I'll tell him afterwards. He'll see the stuff on it, whatever. So I didn't say anything, and I remember the first match. I was number 2 seed, so Zane was on 1. I was number 2. I had Bai, and then I had Steven Rodriguez from Illinois. It was good, All-American, I think,
yep.
in the future. And I remember trying to grab it, and I was like, gosh, bless it. But I kept tilting, so it felt good there. And then against Dardanes in the semis, I started doing like an over top, like a side headlock turn, pulling the back. And I don't even know. I just did it sometimes in practice, but it was working. So I think I got like 5 or 6 back points off that. So then, yeah, I was feeling good. I was feeling good heading into the finals. My dad was like, what's going on with your hand? I was like, I think I finally told him after the semis, like, yeah, cracked my thumb, wrestling Hunter. So blame that Hunter. But yeah, so then setting up a rematch with Zane. So
now heading in there, let's set this up a little bit. So we did a good job breaking it down. We know the adjustments you had to make. So heading into that match, what was the talk between you, Jay, and Lou that night and before the match?
Yeah, so it was let's get 2 takedowns in the first period and end on top. If you can do that, then there's no reason for me to get away. So it was kind of like hyping me up as I can get away, but only if I need to. There'd be no point in trying to get away. trying to go down and get away if I didn't need to. So the goal was to score 2 takedowns in the first period and end up on top. So I was I guess just getting into it. I always forget because the matches at Big Tens and Nationals were similar, but I think Big Tens I did score 2 takedowns in the first period. So I think my first one was a bars guard. I got in lefty and threw him kind of whatever double-legged and bars guard him. Rode him for a while, and I think that he got away. And I think I low doubled him the second one. But I remember it's always so funny because Zane he was very active. So always trying to like run back to the middle of the mat, which is kind of a psychological thing. But for me, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I could be, if I was dead tired and I won, I don't care how much energy you have. But he always run back. But he also would always like tap my head. And I would always bleed, which was extremely counterproductive to what he was trying to do, trying to get me tired.
Right.
So I'd be bleeding. My nose is bleeding, cut right here always. So I remember I was having a hard time riding him. I couldn't jam. I always rode on the left side, and I couldn't get my left hand under the claw. So we go and I'm bleeding. So I'm talking with Lou and Jay while they're cleaning up, and Jay's like, "Go back to your side headlock." He's like, line up on the right. Go back to your side headlock, so then you can get your leg in. So that was a crazy, really good tip. That helped me a lot. So then it helped my riding a lot more. So I ended the first period, pretty sure on top. And I rode a lot side headlock, which of course now they made the count. But I was being active. There's a lot of people who weren't active with it. I was trying to throw the leg in and get the claw and stuff, but it stopped his first move. I think that's how he got away because I was trying to jam a thing in and he got away. And I was like, I can't fight this in. He's really tight here. This hurts when I jam it in. So I think he went down. In the I chose on my feet. Second period. And maybe I didn't take him down twice. Maybe I took him down once in the first, once in the second. But in the third, he chose down. And it was 4-2 going into the third. He chose down. I had probably about minute 15 of riding time. And I was riding hard. And I turned him. Two count claw. Well, I got a turn. So then I was up 6-2 with a lot of riding time. And I tried to claw him again and tilt him, and I got reversed. And so like the last, I think I might have had, I don't even know if I remember this correctly, over 2 minutes of riding time because he rode me out the last like 50 seconds. I was kind of caught like in a Turk, and he threw the leg in. I wasn't really trying to get away.
There wasn't a lot of urgency on your part. You didn't have, as long as you made it look like you were working. You're like,
exactly. So then I think I ended up winning 7-4 that one. I think I still got the riding time point. Because I had, I think, over 2 minutes of riding time. So that was good. And I was really, that's kind of how I thought the match would go. Maybe not get reversed, but that's how I imagined it would go. A couple takedowns, get my riding time, be good to go.
So after that, you knew there was a possibility. You didn't know how the seeds were going to play out or where it looked 2 weeks from then at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
But you probably had a good idea, like, I'm gonna see this guy somewhere along the way, most likely.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts like after that? Like, was it okay?
Yeah.
I know what this should look like next
time.
I
was really confident. I thought that, obviously anything can happen, but I didn't think that I was gonna lose. I thought that I was pretty good at having a plan and sticking to it, and not letting anything crazy happen. So I felt really good about it. And I knew that Mitchell Port was undefeated as well. So it's kind of like me, Zane, and Mitchell Port, what I was thinking. And kind of funny, and we'll get to this, I guess. Devin Carter was hurt all year. I think he tore his hamstring, like actually really tore his hamstring. So he was out all year. He came back and I think maybe took second at ACCs. So I didn't even think that he was going to be someone who could even, wrestle that much because of his injury. So yeah, I didn't know what seed I was going to be. I thought that I would probably be number 1 seed because I avenged my loss. So I was thinking like me 1, Port 2, Rutherford 3, Carter 4, which is maybe me being optimistic. Because Devin is going to be hurt. I felt good about that, and then let those guys battle it out. But they didn't do that. They put Mitchell Port number 1. He was undefeated and returning second place. So it wasn't that out of the ordinary.
So you didn't get emotional about that stuff?
No, it was it was just, it is what it is, I guess. I was the second seed my freshman year, and I knew in my mind I thought that I was gonna have to wrestle Zane for the title. I thought maybe Mitchell would beat him, and Mitchell did end up beating him in the Conci semis, but I thought that Zane was the toughest guy in the bracket. So I thought, okay, I just have to beat him in the semis, and then maybe my finals will be less stressful.
So how did Lou and Jay, because from everything you've talked about, like you're not a bulletin board type guy.
Yeah,
it doesn't
no.
seem, or like you were looking to take something as like someone's insulting you, like, oh, I'm seated first,
Yeah.
or I'm seated second.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I wasn't like that at all.
But I'm sure in your mind it's like, okay, this is kind of different than the first 2 years. I'm probably gonna have to see the toughest guy before the finals.
Yeah. So they were just trying to keep me prepared, and the I guess a good thing in both, I guess, the finals and the semifinals, or are at night. So that means I waited in the morning. So not that weight was an issue, but it's always nice to be full and have a nice day of eating and a little sweat earlier in the morning. So yeah, they were kind of, let's say, same game plan. It worked well. Maybe be a little bit less less risky on top, but just keep working hard on your takedowns and get to your turns. So yeah, the plan was
Jump in and go through the bracket real quick before the final. So first round.
Yeah, first round I had Le'Veon Mays. So he was an NCAA finalist, lost his Zane. But at the time I didn't really know who he was. And big, strong kid from Missouri. And
Long too, right?
Yeah, he was big. He was, I thought maybe you always think that the guy you're wrestling is bigger than you. It's like a mind trick.
Yeah.
So you always think that they're bigger, but he had to be bigger. So I'm wrestling him, and I remember, I think I scored one right away, and I'm like, wow, this guy's strong. Like, this is, I don't know how we weighed the same hour and a half ago, but this guy's strong. And then he got me in a cow catcher, like Ramos did. And when Ramos did it, I always felt like I could just stay there all day. It wasn't really threatening. He had it locked up, but it was never really threatening. When Le'Veon got it on me, I was like, oh wow, I'm in trouble. And I think I stepped in front of him and tried to whip him off because I knew that I was in trouble because he had it like locked up. Because at one point my shoulder can be flexible enough to go through, and he had it in a way where I couldn't fight through. So I in my mind I had like a 1 second panic, and I had to almost like throw him while he had the cow catcher on me, and just to get out of bounds. So then I was like, wow. So I think I took him down again, and with maybe like 10 seconds left in the first period, I armbar halved him and kind of rolled him up on his back. He was on his back for nice split second, pin. I was like, all right, off the mat, let's go. So yeah, he was good. He was tough, strong, and he was a freshman, so he had no accomplishments yet, but yeah, tough first round.
Yeah. It's funny how you look back on those guys now, like after their career.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that guy was good, man.
Yeah, he was good. He was good, And so then second round was Anthony Calica. So he
another Ohio guy.
Ohio guy, yeah. So he was. I remember thinking he was really, really big. I think that he was probably a 49 or 57 pounder. But they had Kindig, who I think made the finals that year.
Yeah.
So I remember he was really, really sucked out. I was like, oh, he's gonna be a little bit bigger, but he was young. So kind of as all my matches were, as a goal was to take him down, ride hard, and then get some turns going. So I was able to score a lot of turns, claw wrist, and I think maybe second period tech fall, and then it was lose a little bit of weight and get ready for the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So then
Friday
morning I had Todd Preston from Harvard, and I had wrestled him in I think I wrestled him in Vegas. I'm not sure. But that was a pretty quick one. I took him down, armbar halved him. And I was like, okay, now I'm really rolling. I feel good. So yeah, quick quarterfinal matches. is nice. It's something where even though your goal is to win the title, it's still really important to be an All-American.
Yeah.
So obviously only one guy wins the title, but you can't lose in the quarterfinals and then say, well, that's it. Then you still got to fight back. It's hard. Yeah. You know, All-American because you lost in the quarterfinals. So it was definitely a little relief. Of course I wanted to win, but okay, I'm All-American. Now let's go win the title. So that was kind of like the stepping stones of the event, right? As every match at a time, yes, but then it's, if you break it down, then it's okay. Let's get to the semis. Now I'm an All-American. Now let's go win the finals. So that set up a match with Zane. I forget. I think Zane had some very like some random tough guys that were kind of fit. I thought that he might get upset. And you always want to wrestle the best, but you always kind of like,
if you lose, you lose. I just wrestled the guy ahead of me.
Maybe you lose, right? So I actually in the quarter before I wrestled Zane, so in the quarterfinals, Mitchell Port lost to Henderson. So he was number 1 seed. Henderson was the 9th seed, I think. And he lost to Henderson. So then I'm like, wow, okay. Carter's hurt. Henderson, I don't think had that great of a year. He's really tough, but he didn't have a great year. So I'm like, okay, this is really the title. So going into the semis, it's kind of funny story. So Jay, I would say Jay probably has led the way with the fashion of the coaches. So we were in Oklahoma. That's where the Nationals were, Oklahoma City. And so for the semis, he had a suit and a jacket, but he had a bolo tie, which is what cowboys wear, I guess.
Yeah. String leather,
exactly.
Silver at the bottom.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything before. So I'm like warming up, and they're like, 125's up, and I'm just getting ready. And he's like, "Hey, what do you think about the tie?" I'm like, "Yeah, it looks good." He's like, "Do you think I don't know?" He's like, "Is it too much? Like too cocky?" I'm like, I honestly I don't care, but I don't think so. Like, just wear it. So I think he was a little bit nervous, which is I get now because now as a coach, I'm probably way more nervous than I was when I competed. So he was a little bit nervous because everyone knew, Zane was good. He was really good.
So this because every coach athlete has their own dialogue, like their own conversation that they fall into, especially before matches. Was this kind of different for Jay to?
Well, it was different because he was nervous. It wasn't different because we would talk about just random things sometimes, or like look in the crowd and say, like, oh, there's, whatever. But it was a little bit different because he was nervous. So I remember even like laughing to myself at the time because I was like, man, I'm confident. Jay's a little bit nervous. I'm like, okay. So he's like, so I was like, yeah, man, you can wear it. And he's like, all right, I'm not gonna wear it. So it's like, okay, 125 ends. I'm bouncing again. He's like, so he comes up to me again. He's like, do you mind if I wear it? I'm like, listen, Jay, that looks good, man. I don't care though. Like, I was like, I think I even said, I was like, Jay, I'm gonna win. It's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna win anyways. So he was like, yeah, let's go.
It's like, Jay, you're gonna get in the ESPN shot after the match. So how good do you want to look, right?
Exactly. So I was like, yeah, Jay, I don't care. I was like, I think I'm gonna win anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. And then he was like, okay, let's go. Like, getting all fired up. So that was kind of a funny story, and so then, it's kind of the coach athlete relationship. Right? He spent so much time, working on this, top and bottom, and finishing my bars of guard and stuff on Zane. So he was heavily invested. So it's me on the other side of it now. Used to kind of see that, but at the time it was very cool. I'm glad I remembered it because very cool moment and funny, good story.
Yeah.
So me and Zane wrestle, and I low ankle him right away, but he gets out quickly. It's 2-1, and then
did he make any, like, I don't mean to jump in here, but did you feel him or anticipate any adjustments that you thought he would make?
No, he didn't. I don't think, or if he did, then maybe my adjustments overshadowed him. I mean, his offense wasn't quite what it got to be a little bit later on. So his leg attacks didn't get much better, and so for him to score on me on our feet, it was going to be off of a re-attack. So I did a better job of choosing my shots and my setups and my quick finishes. So yeah, obviously he probably made adjustments. I think that I think my adjustments were probably better, which is kind of a blunt way to say it. But so I took him down. He kicked away, got away, and then I think with about 50 seconds left, I took him down again, and I put on a hard ride. Threw my leg in, got the side headlock, ankle, broke him down. So after one, it was 4-1 with about minute 20 of riding time. So that was perfect in my mind. It's like
it went to script.
That's the script. Yeah, exactly. It's like, of course, I want to pin everybody in the first 10 seconds. So once you get that out of the way, right, then you have a realistic script. So that was exactly what I wanted. It was perfectly planned, and things were working. Things were working well. Second period, either second or third period, pretty much nothing happens. I think it was probably the second. I think second, my choice. I went on my feet. Nothing happened. Third period, he went down. I rode him for a little bit longer. This could be reversed, by the way. I'm not 100%. But I remember he got in on my legs. And off a shot, which is one of the few times he straight up shot and got in on my legs. And I kind of did the splits, and I basically did what he did to me, kind of reattacked, and it was like extremely close takedown. I don't even know,
like an armbar reattack, or no, arm drag reattack.
Yeah,
kind of similar.
yeah. And it was very fast takedown. It was, I guess if they freeze framed it, maybe it was takedown, but it was fast because he kicked away right away. But I got that takedown, and then that was it. I think it was 7-3. Yeah. And it was with riding time, 6-3 and 7-3. And I remember it was, again, same type of match, hit me in the face and bleeding. I'm like, oh, this is fine. I'll take a break.
Yeah. Like this plays into my hands more. I was like, you actually don't want this. Like,
yeah. So that was good. That was, very about the same match, except for I got a third takedown instead of a turn, and then he didn't get reversal or anything on me. So, and then on the other side was Carter and Henderson, and that was a wild match. I mean, Carter was a little bit limited, so he couldn't. So he just kept whipping people over. Henderson would shoot in, he'd whip them, and getting scrambles and stuff. So he won a wild match. And then I had Carter in the finals, and I'd wrestled him before. I was in high school, and I wrestled him in my freshman year, I think, at 133.
So this is Devin Carter from Virginia Tech, and I'm just going to talk a little sidebar here. I know this is a big match for you, but it was also a big match for our videographer and engineer behind you.
Yeah.
Our videographer, Mackenzie. She's a VaTech grad.
Yeah.
Really tied to the Virginia Tech program. Devin Carter is one of their very good friends. So this was a really big match for her.
She was probably cheering against me.
Yes, she definitely was.
Dang, that's kind of cold-blooded. But, yeah, no, Devin, he also my brother. My brother beat him Hunter's freshman year in high school at Ironman. Sophomore year, Carter beat him. And then, then we wrestled, throughout college and stuff. So he's an awesome guy. So he's a good guy, great wrestler. Wrestled, in Ironman finals my senior year. So yeah, he's the man.
Now there's got to be. Tell me about this between you and Hunter, because I know it was similar between me and my brothers. Like, especially my younger brother, if he beat someone and I had to wrestle him, like, even though I knew how good he was, I'm like, no, just on principle. It's like my little brother beat him. Like, there's no way in heck. I don't care what the stage is. I ain't losing to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's how it was for a while until he started it, Then when he beat, like, Kellen Russell and Montel Mary, and I'm like, wow, you got to calm down. I don't know if I can beat these guys, So for the most part, yes, but Hunter has some awesome wins, and I'm like, wow. I wrestled Montel in freestyle, and I beat him. I wrestled Kellen a bunch of times freestyle. We split, maybe 2-2 or something like that. Kellen was awesome, So I'm like, wow, make 100 better than I think. But so yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so most of the time I'm like, yeah, if Hunter's beating you, then I'm in good shape. But
and before we get into this match, and we've talked about the attitude and the emotion before each one of your matches? Like at this point, we talked about the benefit from your freshman year to your sophomore year, like that familiarity being on that stage on Saturday night. By this time, did you almost feel like I own this? Like this is my night. This is my session. I'm completely comfortable with this.
Yeah, I felt really comfortable. I felt good. I felt comfortable. I thought, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. I'm in the finals again, and let's do it. So I felt good about it. I had my routine. I knew, I make weight. I watch my guys on the team for a little bit, go back, eat, do a little bit, run on the treadmill, stretch a little bit, and get ready. Get ready for the night. And at this point, I'm already planning all like, okay, afterwards we're gonna have the banquet, then we're gonna hang out for a while. So I got my clothes ready, and I've lost enough matches. I'd won a lot, obviously, but I'd lost enough big ones in the freestyle scene that I knew that win, we're gonna hang out with my friends and have fun. Lose, gonna hang out with my friends and have fun. So I'm like, might as well. I had nothing else to do all day. Get my clothes, my outfit ready, and see, kind of, pass the time. So yeah, I felt good. I felt confident, and I knew, wrestling with Devin, I knew that he was a little bit hurt. So I didn't know what his shape was going to be like. Not that I was crazy push to pace, but I just thought that I could wrestle a very boring, conservative, and controlling match. Which is I knew I wouldn't be able to turn him. I wrestled him enough times that he was too strong. Yeah. But I did know I was really aware of not to shoot with my arms out. It's something. Yeah. So he always whipped people. So I was extremely focused on that. I knew that I had to keep peppering, getting to the legs. So is that I'm trying to think of what arm he used, because your left leg, was he a right arm underhook? Probably. I think it was a right leg lead. He kind of stood out with right leg. So it was even more so, especially on your swing. Like, I gotta have my more than I normally would. Or? Yeah, I think it was one of those things where the coaches probably told me, if you can shoot another shot, do it. But I was pretty much, a low double, but he was his stance was so staggered that I couldn't get to his left leg for my low double. It just wasn't gonna happen. So I it was one of those things where I thought that my offense would be better than his defense, and I thought I could get in. It's harder to whip me, of course, if I'm in on the leg, if he catches me. So just better fakes and stuff. But so yeah, I scored, I think, a bunch of takedowns right in time, and a cool slide by at the end. That was I think I won 10-1. So it was I never really, I guess my first 2 years I had real close ones, but even next week we talk about it. I didn't ever really push the pace and try to go crazy and risk anything. I was okay. I'm in the finals. Let's be safe, control it, and be fine. So yeah, it was good. It was nice to win comfortably, and then it was okay. Let's try to win 4. So yeah, like how quickly after the match did the first thought of 4 enter your head? Yeah, you get interviewed right away. So, by the time I was in the back and people, they started saying, so, by within 10 minutes, I'm getting interviewed. So they're forcing you to. So in the first 10 minutes, I'm not thinking about winning 4. I'm happy that I won, and, thinking, I'm texting people back and stuff like that. So, the interview asked me, now we can talk about 4, and that was, So I was like, yeah, I'm excited. I can talk about it and can think about it more. And obviously it was always in the back of my mind, but it didn't do a lot of good to think about it early because, kind of had to control what you can control. Really cool. Well, I'm excited, not only to talk about number 3, but heading into number 4. Number 4 turns out to be historical and magical on a number of levels that we can talk about, but also like what I really want to get into next week. And maybe I've been watching The Last Dance, like about the Chicago Bulls, and they knew going into 98, this was their last season together. Yeah. And there was some connections and parallels, like going into this last season, like, I want to win 4, but there's also a finality here. Like this is done. My college career is done after this. And I'm interested to
to see what your perspective and mentality is when we jump into that, which I think is going to be really cool as well.
Next week will be cool. I got some good stories, and we had a very fun team. It was a tragic year for one of our friends and teammates, Costa, but it was a very fun year with the team, and a lot of growth and a lot of learning and ups and downs, and we'll get into some good stories and stuff, because it was it was exciting. We knew as our final time, we were all confident, and not in maybe winning, but confident in our abilities to wrestle. So it was no longer stressful. I guess maybe sometimes people think that the final year is stressful, and maybe it's more stressful if you have a bigger goal than most, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we had fun, a lot of fun, probably too much fun.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was, I'm excited to talk about it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about, everything we've talked about the last 3 weeks. Next week, Monday at 2:00, we'll be jumping into the 2014-2015 season, Logan Stieber's fourth and final national championship. So for everyone here at RUDIS and Logan Stieber,
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
And
guys.
we'll see you next week.
Yeah, awesome.